Thank you for being here and welcome home. The pandemic has and continues to take its toll on our mental health, and we are hoping that this event will provide us with an opportunity to rekindle our efforts to protect and improve the mental health of our communities. Today's event is deeply meaningful to me because it feels important that we acknowledge the pain of the last 2 years so that we can grieve and then heal together. My name is Diana Otero. I am the Senior Director of Special Projects at the Latino Community Foundation. I joined the foundation a year and a half ago to lead our COVID 19 efforts. And even though we are proud of our accomplishments today, we know that this work is far from over and that there's still a lot of work to be done, particularly in the mental health arena. About 1 in 8 people in the world live with a mental disorder. Rates of already common conditions such as depression and anxiety went up by more than 25% in the first year of the pandemic. In the United States, roughly 40% of Hispanics adults say they were experiencing symptoms of depression during a national research conducted by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. As the world comes to live with and learn from the far reaching effects of the COVID 19 pandemic, we must all reflect on the huge toll it has taken on our mental health and at the same time acknowledge the incredible work of our community based organizations because they were and are giving everything they have to help our community. These grassroots organizations have protected the mental health and of our working immigrant families by providing critical services, sharing trusted information, and spreading hope. I am very honored to introduce you to two incredible leaders that have stood by our community in this difficult time. In her own field of expertise, has been able to profoundly impact our Latino community. First is Dr. Belinda Hernandez Arriaga. She is the founder and executive director of ALAS, Ayudando Latinos a Soñar. She's a licensed clinical social worker and has a doctorate in education as well as extensive experience working in community mental health in Santa Clara and San Mateo counties. She's specialized in child trauma and Latino mental health. Also, she's committed to social justice, advocacy, and promoting healing through multicultural practice. Bienvenida, doctora Belinda. Gracias por acompañarnos.
Gracias.
Rosario Puga Dempsey will also be joining us. She is the director of the Spanish Services Program at CARA, a nonprofit grief support agency. Rosario holds a master's degree in counseling psychology from Santa Clara University and is a licensed marriage and family therapist. At CARA, she is passionate about providing culturally and linguistically appropriate grief support services to the Hispanic community in the Bay Area. Bienvenida, Rosario. Once again, thank you very much to the two of you for being with us today. And to everyone who is coming to our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube accounts, welcome and thank you very much for joining us. First, I want to start just by asking each of you a more personal question. What brings you joy and what is something you do to foster joy in your life? And maybe we can start with Dr. Belinda.
Wow. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm really happy to be with you all today. Thank you, Latino Community Foundation, for putting this special event on. It's so important to talk about mental health and what brings us joy. I think for me, what brings me joy every day is really waking up to think about how grateful I am to be surrounded by a beautiful community where I live here in Half Moon Bay. Just to get to see the environment, the beach, the sunflowers, the Brussels sprouts, the smiles of the niños that I work with, the mariachi folklorico, los campesinos, my family. I think just being mindful every day of our surroundings, where we're at, the air, un día por día, just to try to be grateful and thankful really brings me joy to be alive. So, yes.
How about you, Rosario?
Yeah, thank you, Diana. Thank you, Latino Community Foundation, for hosting this great event. I think for me, really what brings me joy is spending time with loved ones, whether it's close friends or family, or even the community at Cara and the community that we serve, being able to spend time with them and really enjoy it, as Dr. Belinda said, feeling grateful to have the opportunity to even spend that time with them. Spending time with pets. I have some pets that I love as well, and that always brings me joy. Spending time with them, taking them on a walk, the small things that we often take for granted, but that can be so important and bringing us a sense of happiness and fulfillment.
Thank you so much for sharing. What an inspired group of mujeres. Gracias. Now that we got to know you a little better, we can officially start our conversation. So I wanted to ask you, Belinda, you built an entire organization focused on our community well-being and mental health. What does it look like?
Yes, so for us here at Alas, as you can see behind me, just to kind of give a shout out to the bus, community mental health for us at Alas is bringing culturally centered, Latino focused mental health that is a flip system from some of the traditional services that I think we sometimes are shy about, right? Like, what does mental health look like? And I think at Alas, we're trying to really showcase mental health from el corazón, from cariño, from comunidad, and culture. So we're blending all the pieces that we can to make our mental health services culturally centered, culturally relevant, working with immigrant familias using um, the terms of like pláticas and testimonios and alegría and orgullo and cultural wealth and coming together in spaces that do not, that reflect us, that reflect color, that reflect joy, but also that take into account the struggle of our immigrant families and also ignite and highlight the beauty and the strength of who we are. I think that's mental health too, right? That we embrace all of that and we go to where the client is in many ways. And this bus behind us, which is the mental health mobile resource bus, is going to have medical education, but also mental health services that are going out into the farms to work with our campesinos on site with our families. And that's what ALAS is. That's what we do. We bring counseling in a new way that's centered on really hearing, seeing, and being the voice of the people, but also or hearing the voice of the community in ways that they collaborate with their mental health services. This yellow bus with the pink doors also reflects our counseling centers, which is our casita, which is a yellow house with pink doors. And we have in our counseling center the Frida room, the Corazon room, the Coco room, which offers child therapy, offers counseling for individuals, couples, grief, and it's really wrapped with a lot of love and familia spirit that we center our work in.
And if you haven't been at Atlas, I really invite you to come and visit them. You will feel at home, and it's not only that it's colorful, but you can sense it. You can feel that you are with family. So, and I can't wait, Belinda, to jump on that bus and to get to visit our families in Half Moon Bay. And now let's hear from Rosario. What have you learned about helping our community cope with grief, especially during the past 2 years?
It goes without saying, these last 2 years have been a lot for our community, and we've seen not only the trauma and the impact that it has caused our community, but just the grief, all the loss that we have experienced, and multiple losses in many different ways. I think the biggest thing that I've learned, not only in the last few years, but just throughout my time here with Cara, is that there's so much need. Our community needs these resources, needs this support, needs the opportunity to feel heard, to know that there's someone and something out there that can provide that support that we need. And that's part of what we are so big about here at Cara, is providing that helping hand, someone that can guide you and support you and listen to you throughout your grief journey. The other thing that I've learned and that is so present is how much more information and education we need about the grief process, how much we need to be able to learn how to support someone who's in grief, whether it's a family or a neighbor or a friend. We need to be able to know what that's like and how to support them. And there's not only lack of resources, but lack of information and education about how to support and how to provide that helping hand to someone else. And I think the last thing, and this is something that always brings me hope, is seeing how much our grief and our sorrow can be transformed and can be healed, and how much we can continue with our lives, no matter how big the grief and the suffering and the pain might be.
Thank you, Rosario, for supporting our community on their journey through grief so that they can move toward healing and renewed hope. The families and friends of the 40,000 Latinos who died from COVID in California and the many more around the world will never be the same. I would like to show a brand new video LCF developed as part of our work to support healing and mourning in our community. In this video, we are highlighting Cara's life-saving work. Let's watch it.
Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre, vénganos a tu reino. Si tú estuvieras acá, te podría decir miles de cosas, lo tanto que te extraño, las sonrisas, todo lo que tú hacías acá por la familia. Te extraño mucho, mucho. Lo más duro es la realidad de estar solo, por no poder volver a verla, volver a tener celebraciones con ella, salir de vacaciones con ella. Ya es otra vida totalmente diferente ya.
Es importante pedir ayuda, especialmente en momentos de dolor, especialmente en momentos donde nos sentimos muy solos, muy tristes, donde aunque tengamos a la familia y tengamos amigos, a veces es difícil hablar con ellos y a veces necesitamos un espacio donde otras personas nos puedan entender. Las personas que proveen el servicio, tanto individual uno a uno como los grupos de apoyo, son voluntarios capacitados en este ámbito del duelo que proveen esa ayuda. Y no solamente son especiales porque son voluntarios, sino porque ellos mismos también han pasado por una pérdida y saben lo que se siente pasar por ese momento de duelo y transformarlo y poder ayudar a alguien más.
Cuando esto pasó al principio, no podía mantener una palabra, siempre se me cerraba la garganta, no, se me hacía un nudo que no podía hablar y me ponía a llorar. No podía yo mantener una conversación como la que estoy manteniendo ahorita. Te digo, sí es emocional otra vez, pero ya puedo manejar este sentimiento.
Las personas como José, que siguen con nosotros, que están año tras año, que reciben los grupos, el apoyo individual, se puede ver esa transformación.
Nada más que se acerquen a este tipo de grupos, que hay ayuda, que los pueden ayudar y así se sienten un poquito mejor. No pueden totalmente aliviar el dolor de un día para otro. Toma tiempo, pero lo van a lograr. Ojalá y estés bien donde estés, que pues tarde o temprano nos vamos a volver a encontrar.
Knowing that we are not alone and that there are services and help available is very powerful to me. I imagine many on this live stream has been touched by loss the past 2 years, and I would like to invite you to close your eyes, take a few breaths, and now think of someone you would like to remember. Maybe someone lost recently or an ancestor from long ago. Hold them in your heart. And now, please come into the chat and share their name. Let's call all these loved ones into the space because honoring them and remembering them is part of healing. And I am going to give a few more minutes for people to enter names. Um, Thank you so much for sharing their names with us. Rosario, anything in particular you would like to add or highlight about CARA and the grief support services after watching the video?
Yeah. Gosh, that video is so special. And I'm actually so proud to share that Jose has become one of our volunteers. And he is such an example of how we can learn to transform our grief and our pain and our suffering. And like he said, it doesn't go away. There's no magical healing that happens, especially not overnight, but we can transform it. And the most important thing for me, for everyone to know, is that there is help, there is support. And even though we might have friends and family that can be there for us, sometimes we need someone else. Sometimes we need that extra hand, that extra listening ear, and from someone that understands it. There's something about grief that we share. It's like that get it factor. We understand it. We know what it feels like, and all our volunteers who are there know what it feels like and can provide that help.
Rosario, can you also share with us what are ways to honor and remember our loved ones?
Sure. There's so many special ways. I don't think there's a right or wrong way. I get asked this question many times, whether this way is right or that way is wrong, or what we should be doing or not be doing. Grief is such a unique process, and it's an individual process. And the best way to honor and remember our loved ones is the way that feels special for each of us. Whatever that is, whether it's setting an altar or having a candle or a picture or cooking their favorite food or attending memorials or celebrating through holidays. I know in my culture, in my community, in my family, Dia de los Muertos, right? That's very, very big and important for us. That's a way that we not only honor and remember, but celebrate our loved ones and have them be part of our lives for a day. And that's a holiday that's very meaningful and special to me. But really, there's no right or wrong way. It's whichever way feels special to each of us.
We recently lost my father-in-law. He was gone too soon and he's dearly missed. And this Saturday, we are going to honor him. We're going to participate at Cara's Walk and Run to Remember event. We will walk, not run in his memory. I think that maybe next year we will run, but this year we're going to walk. But please visit Cara's website and hopefully we will see many of you in Palo Alto this Saturday. And Linda, I wanted to ask you now, why is it so important to have this conversation about mental health now?
Wow. Well, first of all, my heart goes out to Jose and his family, and I'm so grateful for all the work that Kara does. I think the important thing to think about why now is really been always the answer for mental health, because all of us can use mental health services in some way and some time in our life, in some moment that we need support. I think too much focus is given that mental health means there's something wrong, or there's a problem, or we're not okay, or we're not, good enough if we need mental health services. And that's not true at all. Mental health is like an act of care, an act of love to yourself, to your heart, to your spirit, to your mind, to your body, to be able to get that support, to talk to someone. to be able to reach out when maybe things are not going so good and you need a little bit of an extra lift or support. But specifically during the pandemic, what we've seen has been so many of us have felt in many ways that we're struggling, whether alone or the change in the world, or seeing the families around us with our own in our own lives having their own changes, things that they're going through. Also, the loss of family members. We have lost so many people because of the pandemic. And I think it's important to acknowledge that and acknowledge that it is hard when this happens, that this is a difficult time for us. And it's okay to be able to get support. And for us at Alas, and just for me in my profession of years in mental health, I see getting mental health services as a blanket of love. It's like, when you're at home and you're cold and you get that blanket and you feel better. Mental health is so much similar that you get that support, that confidentiality that someone's there walking with you, journeying with you, helping to understand what you're going through. It wraps this kind of care around your soul and it helps to keep you going. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful, it's important, and it's necessary.
Integral part of our general health and well-being and a basic human right. Having mental health means we are better able to connect, function, cope, and thrive. Belinda, ¿cómo cura la cultura? Please talk about cultural-based healing.
Well, at Alas and in my own work, I have seen how cultura is our medicine. And when you combine cultura with mental health, it's a powerful tool because what is mental health? Mental health is also celebration. It's plática. It's coming together as community. It's coming together to honor like our loved one, to be in ceremonia, to be in events, because that creates wellness too. That creates health. That creates alegría. And so part of mental health is how we feel, is feeling good. It's lessening isolation. So we have used cultura as the center of mental health in our program. We really believe that when you're connected to your identity, to your roots, to music, to storytelling, to art, even within pláticas of well-being, of mental health, that you are being immersed in what I call cultural sensory. So much of research shows that sensory is important for trauma. So when there's trauma, that you use sensory integration to get better, to work through what you're going through, that it helps stimulate the brain and it helps restore the brain. But that's in kind of westernized spaces. But we don't think about how we use cultura for us as our own sensory healing. Like, for example, when you're cooking and you're talking and you're smelling the food and you're being with the community that you love and you're being able to share, in many ways, that's sensory, right? That's a healing. When you're being able to participate in Dia de los Muertos, making the crafts, making your altares, doing your artesanía, your manualidades with so much care and thinking of your loved ones and talking about what that means to you. That's sensory, that's cultural sensory. So at Alas and in my own work, like I said, I really believe in the power of art and culture and using our own medicina to also help us heal, and faith too, right? I think it's so important to talk about how cultura also resonates with our spirituality, spiritual practices, faith practices that also help us to continue going as well for those that is important to them. That's also something to recognize.
Mhm. And it's really beautiful. And I'm not sure if many of the people that are joining us today and have maybe participated one of or have been at the Warriors game or the San Francisco Giants game, and maybe have listened to the mariachi that belongs to Alas, and it's beautiful mariachi. And I have seen how these kids are really embracing their culture and also healing and bringing joy to their parents and their grandparents and the pride. And I don't know if you want to share a little bit, Belinda, about how that has been transformative for the young people in Half Moon Bay.
part of our work and something that we all,
The
I think,
music.
I think something we all acknowledge sometimes is the struggle of what we go through as Latinos, often in our community, in our workspaces, in our country, right? That there's the tension of immigration, um, dreamers, feeling isolated, sometimes the unfair practices, the cost of living, just the different challenges that sometimes we experience as Latinos. And we, what we have found though, is that we are also a beautiful, strong, powerful, awesome, dynamic community. And our culture, our cultura, our music, what we, who we are, our traditions, they come alive in our soul. They're actually so important. But sometimes here in the US, the palabra comes to me like lo apachurramos, right? Like we sometimes have to hide it or we don't get to embrace it because of messages we get in society. Um, but really, what we have come to learn at ALA is like the kids that perform in our mariachi program, the kids that dance folklorico, the kids that are singing, that are doing art. We see them come alive. We see them strong. We see them become rooted in their identity. We see them transform their families because now they're connected even more to their abuelas, their tios, to their home country. And it's not just about Mexico, all across the spectrum, right? The different countries that we come from, what makes us. Think about those memories that keep you so happy, that keep you joyful. And we have to come back to that. We have to come back to say, hey, we can combine mental health with cultura, with programming that makes sense to our community and lift our community up and help to reignite that alegría, that joy, that familia, that familismo in ways that we recognize as a medical model, as a mental health model. And that's what Alice is saying. Hey, we do not need to compartmentalize. We don't need to put into boxes that cultura is here and mental health is over here, and that this is an office clinic over here and this is a cultural programming here. No. And it's up to all of us to merge this work into one, to say, this is the mental health that my community needs, to ask for that, to advocate for that, and to bring it forward. And that's what Alice is doing. And that's why I'm so glad that we're talking about this here because at the end of the day, I want everyone to walk away saying, you know what? I I can ask for mental health that resonates for me, for my life, and I can incorporate my cultura, my identity, and I can think about how do I give my kids back the medicine of my community, of my ancestors, of our history back, embracing that to our kids to make them stronger in a society that in many ways tries to lessen that, for all of us. And then guess what? We lose our own espiritualidad, we lose our own way, we lose our own medicina. So we got to get that back.
Belinda, there is a lot of conversations about mental health being stigmatized in the Latino community. Why do you think that is, and how do we break down those stigmas?
Well, I'm just going to be really honest. I So what I have seen, and I'm going to talk about what we're so excited at Alas to see, is actually the flip. We're seeing the reverse. When you walk into Alas, what you see bright colored rooms, you see Frida paintings, you see arte, you see Mexican colored chairs, you see the colors from Mexico, you see art drawings from the children that have come from La Frontera. You see stories of immigration, images of you are not alone in our counseling space. So we also have counselors and mental health staff here at Alas that are really focused on cuentos, on your story, on testimonials, on using music as a form of being able to heal, on having children sing their songs, on having adultos tell their poemas. So what we're doing is we're able to really shape this counseling in a very rich cultural way that is still very much a medical model in how we understand it. So we have a waiting list here, and we have people coming saying, "Yo quiero consejería." We know it's confidential. We really abide by that, and we're bringing in all the other resources to wrap around not just mental health, but then provide extended other programming for them. So we see that, hey, wait, why do we hear that the Latinos have a stigma when here we're actually seeing the opposite? We're seeing there's such a big need. We're seeing a list of people that are waiting to get these services. So we started to think about the question you asked, Diana, and what we realized is that we need to change the model and the people will come to the counseling services. Like for Latinos, if they feel that this is a warm place, if they feel that they are welcome to be their full self. If they feel that this is a culturally centered practice, um, they're going to be there. They're going to be there. I think too many times what Latinos as a whole fear is that they're going to go into very sterile, white spaces of like, and I don't mean like race, I mean like color, right? Like an office room where it just feels like a clinic that's empty, that's cold, that's frio. And they're going to share everything and it doesn't feel soulful to them, right? So there becomes this kind of like idea of what counseling looks like. But I'm going to tell you, I'm also a professor at the University of San Francisco. I teach in the counseling psychology program, and all the students that are coming into the field, especially at our USF program, we have a South Bay program and Santa Rosa and San Francisco. They're coming in hungry to say, we want to embrace a model that sees people and embraces them for who they are and where they're at and is a social justice mental health model. And I know Gara is doing that. I know San Mateo County, Santa Clara County clinics are doing that. I know that that is the future of mental health, that we are really trying to change it to a community mental health model. So everyone needs to understand that it's a new day in mental health. It's a new time. And we are here to say, you are not alone.
Thank you, Belinda. Something that you said really resonated because I feel like when people go to ALAS, not only for they don't go to ALAS precisely just for counseling services. They seek help with food. They need to pay their rent. They need support in so many other aspects. And since you have been there for them, supporting them, holding them, making sure that they are better, that they can build a better life, and because you have been there for them, this is how they can feel more open to share with you about every aspect of their lives, and they feel more comfortable sharing out to you and seeking mental health. So thank you so much for everything that you are doing, for building a beautiful casita in Half Moon Bay, and for supporting the mental health of our community there, because I have seen the transformation, the vibrant, the colors, the beauty and the happiness in the community, and that's a testament to everything that you have been doing and to exactly what you have just shared with us. So thank you, Belinda.
Thank
I wanted to ask Rosario, maybe what advice would you give to folks on this stream who are worried about someone in their life? We know that it can be hard to suggest that someone needs help, but how do we provide support, Rosario?
Yeah. It can be hard. It can be hard, A, to ask for help, B, to acknowledge that we even need help, and then C, to even find a place like Alas that we can go to where we feel welcomed and where we feel comfortable enough to share what's on our minds. I think the biggest thing that we can do to help someone else or to guide them into receiving support or asking for help is starting by just listening, being able to just listen to what they need, to what they're going through, and doing so in a way that makes them feel like they're not going to be judged or criticized, regardless of what they share with us. Providing that presence, that compassionate presence, providing the empathy that they need, I think that's going to help anyone feel like they can reach out to help, whether it's to another family member, whether it's to a friend or to a clinician, or to receive mental health counseling services. But if we can start by just providing a listening ear, by just providing empathy and understanding and compassion, and rid ourselves from all the shoulds and all the things that we say, you should do this, or you should go here, or you have to do this and you'll feel better. Sometimes that feels so attacking, and it feels so judgmental, and it feels like we're just being criticized for the way that we're feeling. We can provide that empathy and normalize and validate everyone's experience. I think that will help anyone feel like it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to find someone to talk to.
It's really important, Rosario. And something that I wanted to add is that at times the community can be very sensitive and compassionate towards someone that has a physical illness because you can see it. And because of that, then you feel compassion and maybe are more sympathetic. But for those that are struggling with mental health issues, since they cannot show it at times, and there are times that your mental health definitely impact your also physical health. But it seems to me that sometimes people are suffering in silence, and we don't know. We say it in Spanish, we don't know la cruz que llevan cargando, like all the pain and suffering that they are like, holding in their hearts. And it's important for our community to be always asking, about the well-being of everyone. And I think that's something that happened during the pandemic. We become so, something about us of being able to talk to people, greet people, hug people, and then all of a sudden we were in our houses, far from everyone. That maybe this is an opportunity for us to remember that Latino spirit, that we care about everyone, that we ask, maybe not chismosos. I don't want to say chismosos, but maybe we like to communicate a lot, but ask people, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? And like, let's worry about each other, because if someone in our community is hurting, we all are hurting, and we need to protect the mental health of our entire community. So thank you, Rosario. Thank you, Elinda. And I do wanted to talk about. That the mental health care gaps between the need for treatment and the available services always existed, but were amplified by the COVID-19 pandemic and are becoming an emergency. What does it mean to invest in mental health, Belinda?
One of the biggest things that we've seen is the mental health has really been impacted during the pandemic. And our team has said that we think that mental health is the next pandemic, is the new pandemic, because we have seen so many impacted. And it doesn't have to be, it's all levels, right? From being without food and stress and worry, to losing your job, to losing loved ones, to feeling anxious, depressed, alone, not being able to sleep. So it spreads all around. There's all levels. And so one of the things that we also have seen is so many other things have been funded, like food resources, or getting the medical support. Mental health, not as much, because what we still find is that people have to pay for mental health services. That mental health services right now are very impacted, which means they have to wait in long waiting lists, because there's not enough resources or therapists available at community clinics because of funding. So right now, it's time to invest in mental health for the community. It's time to say we want to make change. It's also time for our policymakers to really rethink, the cost of mental health services, and how can we get free access, even more free access to our community, to really open up doors for mental health to be readily available, because it's definitely a 911 issue. And I just want to highlight something I've been talking about with other moms, and I think especially with our Latino community, that sometimes we're not thinking about. Recently, I was talking to a few pediatricians on a team I work with, and they were saying that eating disorders right now are one of the highest levels of concern that they're seeing with our youth. And I was saying how I don't think sometimes as Latinos we talk about eating disorders, or we even sometimes recognize that they're stemming from anxiety, from stress, from fear. And so it's a way to control. And I think as we think about our children and our youth, it's never too early to be getting support, to be looking out for red flags, to be getting these services. And so more and more, we really need to invest in mental health. I encourage, those watching policymakers, community leaders to say, how can we increase our mental health impact in the community at this time?
That's really important. And I'm not sure if I think this is an opportunity for us as a community as well to support programs like Cara, like Alas. And maybe this is a great opportunity, Rosario, for you to share a little bit about this event that is coming up on Saturday and to see how can we as community support the amazing efforts of Cara.
Yeah, so we actually, fall is our kind of crazy month, time of the year where we have a lot of events. And what I love about Cara is that we try to offer that sense of community. We try to offer events to the community so that no one feels like they're alone in their grief. So this Saturday, October 15th, we'll be offering our annual walk and run. We've been doing it for many, many years. And it's going to be at Mitchell Park in Palo Alto. People can sign up online if they go to our website, or they can walk in. And again, it's an opportunity not only to raise funds to continue providing these services to our community, but also to join in and connect with our community and grieve together. It's an opportunity where everyone, volunteers, clients, community members, can come and join in a really fun day to honor and remember our loved ones. We're going to have a memory garden, different resources. There'll be food, there'll be information about our services. You'll be able to meet many of our staff, many of our volunteers, and feel. Oftentimes, grief makes us feel like we're alone. And that's what we're trying to kind of get rid of. We're trying to aim at helping people not feel alone and know that there is a community that they can come to where they can grieve. We're also going to have an event for Dia de los Muertos on October 29th. We're just finalizing all the details, but we're going to host a small community event at our office in Palo Alto at Cara. And we're going to have, every year for the last few years, we've been doing a community ofrenda. And this year, we're going to have it again. And we invite everyone in the community that wants to bring, whether it's a photo or a symbol or food or anything to place on their ofrenda. Again, if we have to grieve, it's better if we can grieve together in community and build that connection. So October 29th, we're going to have a small community event as well for Dia de los Muertos. We'll be providing a workshop about what is grief, how do we support someone in grief, activities for kids to come and honor and remember their loved ones, really bringing the whole familia and comunidad together to celebrate. We'll have many other different workshops and events throughout this rest of the year. November, we have our Navigating the Holidays workshop. And then in December, we have our candlelight celebration. You can go to our website. All the information is on there. Again, these are ways that we try to support our community in not grieving alone and in finding that connection with others who are also grieving.
And Belinda, of course, I follow Alas on Facebook and I see all the beautiful events coming also. And would you mind sharing a little bit about those events, like the Pumpkin Festival? Like I've seen a lot of the events that, of course, are there to support our community.
Our community to come and be part of the Happen Bay Pumpkin Festival. And what we keep thinking is that we're coming out of this pandemic. It's like trying to celebrate that we're here and together and como comunidad. And so we'll be walking in the parade if anybody wants to come and see tomorrow. But we are also going to have a special day on the 29th, so you can come to Caras and to Alas, and we'll be having altares and We're going to be having ballet folklorico and mariachi and música, and Cumbiatron's going to be there, but it's going to be a really special time with artist Frank Franco. And so we're excited as we come into this time. I think I've been reflecting on how these events, even though we haven't been out in a while, and it also kind of might feel strange to us. As I said, cultura is our medicine, and we need to come together. I think healing happens alone, but healing also happens in community. And so we're really excited, and we invite everyone to follow us on Facebook and come be part of our events and see what we're doing. There's also a big event coming up called Sana Sana, which is a mental health focused event through San Mateo County that will be held here in Half Moon Bay next weekend. So please look for it. And there's going to be workshops and platicas, and it is mental health focused. So it's so important.
Thank you, Elinda. I do want to take a few minutes to read. I saw a question. I have seen a lot of comments from the community on the our chat. Thank you so much for your comments. And someone was saying something about how gracias mujeres luchadoras son un ejemplo. So thank you to all those women who are like fighting and working really hard to support our community. So I love those comments. Please keep it coming. We would want to hear from you. And I do want to read one of the questions that a person posted. Do you have, and maybe Belinda and also Rosario, you can answer this. Do you have any tips on how we can help those around us who are experiencing burnout? Belinda,
Yes. I mean, I think sometimes we look at big things and little things. And so in ways that we can help, I think being there to talk with them, but how about taking a walk together? How about going out and creating walking circles? How about creating times to venir y bordar juntos, or hacer arte, o cocinar juntos? Sometimes it's making us, what I've seen, take time to pause from what we're doing, because we can work so much, and really just be together to do something that takes our mind off of that and come back for air. Being in community, as I shared, coming together. So, plan some time, take a walk to the beach, walk in your garden, maybe do create a garden, right? So, maybe thinking about ways that you can be inspired to um, create circles that can pick an activity or a project that you focus on every week or every other week as you can, to come together. And I think just that alone, people have something to look forward to. I know that once I talk to someone for about a good hour and I laugh and I get my mind off of things, I also feel better. My corazón feels a little bit better. So I think being there for each other is important. But most important, I think, is that we don't leave people alone and isolated. If we know we are seeing someone that we love isolating, or kind of being más retirado in our lives, or you see them working so much, try to kind of be there to pull them out gently and say, hey, let's start walking together. Let's go take time to just, visit and platicar. And just that alone is something that's so powerful.
Rosario, something else you want to add?
Yeah, I second everything Belinda said. Really, that connection. I would add, let's go for a cafecito. That's always funny. Cafe makes everything a little better. But I would also add that it's important to normalize the burnout. Like, of course, we're going to be burned out, whether you're in the mental health field or clinician or caregiver or even anyone. We have been through years, not just weeks or months, but at this point, we have been through years of a lot of pain and suffering and loss and stress. It's normal to feel the burnout. And sometimes the things that used to help us before aren't helping anymore. And I think that's what I'm finding in a lot of people in our community, and even within myself, that things that used to be recharging for us aren't as much anymore. And so being creative. I love all of those ideas that Belinda shared, going for a walk, going to an art garden, going to the beach, like I said, a simple cafecito con pan, anything, but being creative and normalizing the burnout, and that it's okay to feel that depleted, that burned out. It's going to get better. We're going to feel better. We just need to take that time to connect and attend to ourselves and not just ignore it.
Yeah, for sure. And I do wanted to invite people to come and cook with me, walk with me. Like I feel like for the past 2 years, I have been working from home, and I'm grateful that I have the opportunity, and I'm blessed with the job that allows me to do that. And throughout the pandemic, I had a job and I was able to work from home, but it definitely being there by myself. And of course, I have now a dog, and Luna is with me, next to me, helping me out, making me laugh. And but I do need human contact. So if anyone is there listening and wants to cook with me, please let me know. Or wants to go for a walk, let me know, because that's going to be really important. That sense of community, and to me, that the sense of like caring about the other, making sure that we feel like that we are not, it's easy at times for us to just be focusing on our own problems and our own challenges, because we are all going through so many things. But at times it's important to also look around and see how's everyone, and just ask questions as simple as how are you doing, how is your day, as simple as smiling to people. That's going to make also a huge difference. So uh, thank you so much for your comments. I was taking notes. I'm going to start calling my friends and requesting cafecito dates with everyone. And I hope that everyone that is listening to us today is also trying to practice more tips that are going to help them with their well-being, with their mental health. And we are getting closer to the end of our event, and I would love to hear from both of you. And in terms of asking, what is a piece of advice that you will give the community that maybe some people are joining us until now, and what are the things that you feel that are important to talk about mental health and Latinos, and a piece of advice that you want to leave us today with. And I'm not sure if maybe also Rosario, you can share that your answer both in English and Spanish, so that we can also have information available for our Spanish speaking public.
Of course. Um, I think the biggest takeaway that I'm hearing from today, and the most important thing, is to know that there is help and that it's okay to ask for help, and the power of connection. Being able to provide, whether it's, again, a clinician, a mental health provider, a friend, being able to get that connection, share, care for one another, and know that their service and their support, as maybe inundated as they seem right now and as limited as they may be, that there is help. And there's many, many ways that we've talked as well, integrating cultura and comunidad and connections that can help us through times where we need support and to better our mental health. And Asher, creo que lo más importante para que sepa nuestra comunidad en estos momentos es que sepan que hay ayuda, aunque quizás no sepamos dónde ir, aunque quizás esté un poquito limitada, aunque no hayan quizás muchísimos recursos que necesitamos, sí los hay, sí hay ayuda, y podemos también recibir la ayuda de nuestros seres queridos, de nuestros familiares, de nuestras amistades, de nuestros amigos en el trabajo, nuestras comadres, poder sentir esa conexión con otras personas, aunque sea por la distancia, por teléfono. La verdad, tenemos muchos medios, pero sentir la conexión y entender que hay muchas formas que podemos darnos el espacio para cuidar nuestra salud mental, para cuidar nuestras emociones, para cuidar nuestro corazón. Hay que hacer el espacio, hay que hacer el tiempo, y muchas veces lo podemos hacer a través de esa conexión y comunidad. Gracias.
Linda, can
You
you
know,
hear us?
lo que yo quiero decir hoy, más que nada, es un mensaje que no están solos. Que hay tantos que están aquí para ustedes, para cada uno. Y también quiero decir y quiero valorar que ustedes, cada uno de ustedes, trabajadores esenciales, trabajadores del campo, mamás, papás, todo lo que han hecho, que ustedes son tan especial, tan importante, y estoy como orgullosa, tan orgullosa que todo lo que han hecho, y creo que a veces eso se queda para atrás porque siempre estamos mirando lo que no hacemos, lo que necesitamos, lo que, falta, pero quiero que en ese momento que ustedes tomen el tiempo para valorar todo el gran trabajo, el amor, el cariño. Han salvado vidas muchos de ustedes durante esta pandemia. Han dado todo su trabajo tan duro para tantos. En este momento tenemos que decir, ¿sabes qué? Yo soy importante. Y con ese sentido también es tomar el tiempo para usted mismo, para que puedas enfocar en su salud, en su familia, para respirar, para celebrar, para tomar un cafecito, para enfocar en cómo te sientes. A veces ni tomamos tiempo para pensar cómo me siento hoy. So, es un día hoy que te invitamos. Toma el momento para ti. Toma el momento para celebrar y quiero que sepan que no están solos.
Thank you so much, Belinda, for those beautiful words. We are also going to share some resources for our community so that they can find some organizations that are providing amazing mental health services in their neighborhoods. So we're gonna share it via Facebook. And once again, Belinda and Rosario, thank you so much for your time, for your wisdom, and for caring for our community. De todo corazón, mil gracias. To our audience, thank you for coming. We really appreciate your interest in this very important issue. We're gonna say goodbye with a video we produced highlighting the services ALAS provides to the community, and with a very important message that Belinda and Rosario shared before. Our mental health is sacred and we are not alone. And I also want to invite you to share one thing that brings you hope or healing in the chat. Nos vemos pronto. Muchas gracias por participar.
You matter. You are not alone. Healing is possible. Every day at ALAS, we make sure our community knows these simple truths. The last few years have been difficult for all of us. We've said goodbye to loved ones too soon. We have felt isolated, forgotten, or alone. Many of us have experienced depression or hopelessness. But it has also been beautiful. Amid the struggle, here in Half Moon Bay, we've shown up for one another. We have found strength in our culture and our community. We've kept our families and farm workers fed and housed. We've invested in wellness and mental health for all our people.
Durante la pandemia, el estar encerrada, me sentía como prisionera.
Fue mucha frustración la pandemia, no podía salir con tu máscara.
El no poder estar con mis hijos, el no poder abrazar a mis nietos, el no poderlos mirar. Y mi mayor temor era que nos enfermáramos y nos pudiera suceder algo lamentable. Y en el programa de ALAS estoy sacando todos esos temores.
A mí me ayudó muchísimo. Y a mi familia también, y me decían, ay, porque tú siempre andas tan feliz y contenta, y le digo, solo Dios sabe.
For us, mental health is believing in cultural competency. It's believing in being cultural-centered clinicians, including culture, our values, traditions, and who we are as comunidad. Built by and for the people of Half Moon Bay, ALAS is rewriting the future of Latinos on the California coast.
Yo pienso que nunca debemos de decir no tengo ayuda, porque la ayuda si la buscamos, la hay. Muchas veces nos da un poco de pena salir a investigar, a buscar, porque el qué dirán, pero la ayuda siempre está.
el lugar de alas, donde puede uno acudir y ahí encuentra uno el apoyo.
La familia de Alas siempre está dispuesta para ayudar.
Allí hay quien los escuche, quien los ayuda, quien nos orienta.
Te ayuda mucho, te distraes mucho. Es una terapia muy buena el estar en los programas que te ofrece Alas.
Yo estoy muy feliz por ser parte de Alas, porque Alas está conmigo.
Me ha gustado mucho el campamento de Alas. Llegas a expresarte muy bien en todos tus sentimientos y sabes más sobre tu cultura. Hace tiempo yo y nuestra familia estábamos pasando por tiempos muy difíciles, pero Alas siempre estuvo ahí para nosotros, ya sea llevando comida a la granja, y también Alas siempre nos beneficiaba a nosotros, a mí, a mis hermanos y a todos los niños. Nos daba útiles escolares, libretas, mochilas, muchas cosas que nos beneficiaban en la escuela, y a nosotros nos ayudó mucho, pero mucho eso.
The Alas model is unique because we are built by and for the community, and we take a holistic approach to health and wellness that is rooted in equity and justice. Taking care of your mental health is a sacred act. We are not alone. No estamos solos.